Welcome to another episode of UMBA Conversations. This is our video podcast series, and we're grateful that you would take this time to share with us, listen with us as we hear from not only previous moderators, but even some of our current auxiliary leaders and our current pastors as we sit down and hear about who they are and what they are doing in their churches and the efforts that they're making as we continue to unite churches and transform communities. I'm excited. I'm appreciative that you're here. If you're on YouTube, I would ask that you subscribe to our channel. If you're on Facebook, I would ask that you like this post, share this post, let others who love our beloved association know that we're bringing this series at this time. Again, thank you for watching, and let's go now into the sanctuary. Welcome to another installment of UMBA Conversations. I'm grateful to have you sharing this time with us. As you know, this is our video podcast series where we have sought to not only get an understanding of what UMBA is today, but get an understanding of how UMBA began and how it has evolved over the years. And I am so honored and grateful to have, as we extend this conversation, our most immediate past moderator, the first ever woman moderator. She is a trailblazer in so many ways. She served as the senior pastor of the Watts Grove Baptist Church in Monroe, North Carolina, for the past 16 years. She wears several hats in this community. She is a preacher. She is a writer. And again, she is a trailblazer. I'm so grateful to have and to introduce to us for this installment of UMBA Conversations, our very own Reverend Dr. Betty J. Erwin. Moderator Erwin.
All right. Moderator Farrell.
I'm grateful.
Glad you invited us up just to pull on us and see what's going on in our minds, and also allow you to pick at us. We're grateful. We're grateful.
I owe her a huge debt of gratitude, particularly for today, because she is fresh off the plane, have returned from Washington, D.C., where she was honored with an award from Susan J. Cook and
yes,
her and several other women.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been to D.C. and she's back here today. So I'm grateful that her works do follow her, and how she has continued to represent and been an ambassador for our association. So I want to hop right into it.
All right.
Dr. Erwin, by asking you this question here. What inspired you to serve as moderator of UMBA?
All right. I guess I can start with the prior moderator, Reverend Garris, became ill. I was his first vice moderator.
Mm-hmm.
So his duties came over to me, and I began to serve as fill-in moderator.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, getting to know the situation, getting to know the setup and all of that, I just decided it might be a place for me to flex my leadership. And also it was an opportunity to get to know other pastors in the city and get to know what they were doing and how they were operating in their church. And so that other pastors can mimic some things that are good for them. Primarily some of the younger churches, the younger pastors, or the smaller churches per se, with smaller congregations, that we were able to see a part of the larger ones and try to not copy them, but take from them what would be good in our churches. Also, it was giving me an opportunity to bring spotlight women, to bring women aboard and give them an opportunity to preach, be preacher partners, teaching partners and all of that. So it helped us. It
Mhm.
helped us as women
Mhm.
to work alongside some of the male counterparts and to learn from them and to see their works
Mhm.
and try to come in and do some greater works
Yeah.
alongside them. So it was an opportunity. I'm just going to take it as an opportunity.
I love it. So, and for this reason, we probably need to back up, because you said Reverend Garris, but let's back up because you have some ties to some members of my church here, Rita.
Right, Rita.
So
Oh yeah,
let's go back with your journey,
yeah.
with churches in Charlotte.
We grew up, some of us, right there on Winifred Street at Gethsemane Baptist Church, Charlotte. Make sure I say Charlotte, because there's another friend of mine somewhere else. Okay, so
Under Dr. what, Dewberry?
under Dr. Dewberry.
Okay.
And so a lot of us grew up from youth, young adults, and seniors.
Mhm.
And we stayed together for a long time, working there. And we learned the mission part of it, the giving part of it. In fact, we learned the building process. We built a church, and we're the only Black church
Mhm.
that walked in debt free and paid for outside of the house of prayer.
Really?
Yes, we're the
Wow.
only one that burnt the mortgage walking in.
Wow.
Of course, we had a church on Winifred Street that the city bought out,
Uh-huh.
and then but we raised the rest of the money on our own, with no borrowing and all of that. We just raised. We had some workers in that church in
Okay.
Gethsemane, and so it was
Wow.
quite a feat. And once we uh, installed that church, built that church, we went immediately and built an attachment, which was the fellowship hall,
Okay.
and paid it off in 10 years.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Dr. Dewberry was a great leader, great asset to the city. And so we did that. We had a daycare,
Mhm.
we had houses
Mhm.
and land over off of West Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a learning curve for me.
Mhm.
So when I became pastor, I could do some of those things right there
Mhm.
at Watts Grove, and also with UMBA, United Missionary Baptist Association.
Mhm.
Those things that I learned and copied or it rolled off on me, and I was able to use it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So tell us about your call into ministry.
My call into ministry was like a call because it wasn't many women out there. It wasn't many women out there at all that had even pastored or had been recognized as an associate minister. When I went to Antioch, once my calling came and it flourished
Mhm.
and all of that, what helped me was I had been working in mission.
Mhm.
And so say people like Dr. Leek, New St. John,
Mhm.
he was there at Gethsemane.
Mhm.
A lot of other ones, McKissick,
Mhm.
they already knew me from working in mission.
Mhm.
So it kind of let me float in a little faster
Mhm.
than some of the other women. In
Mhm.
fact, there were only one female that preached at Greater Galilee, and that was me.
Wow.
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 Wow. Wow.
I got a lot of preaching uh, opportunities in South Carolina to begin with.
Mhm.
So, and it kept rolling.
So when you went to Antioch, that's where you were licensed? Was Reverend Garris there then?
That Reverend Garris was there when I joined Antioch.
Okay.
Pendergrass was there before when I was attending.
Okay.
My ex was there at Antioch.
Mhm.
So I'm from the old school. You
Mhm.
need to go with your husband.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't last, but I stayed.
Yeah.
I stayed at Antioch under Garris. He was a teacher. He had a teaching format,
Mhm.
training format. He had great leadership. So I said, this is where I need to be.
And then you went to seminary. You went to Shaw.
I went to Shaw.
Proud Shaw U.
Yes, yes.
And then you were ordained under what association? All right, so this would have been pre-UMBA days.
Pre-UMBA.
So it would have been a Mouthpiece Association,
Right.
and a What was the other association?
Mecklenburg
The
General.
Mecklenburg General.
Correct.
And so you were ordained in Mount Peace.
In the Mount Peace.
Now I hear war stories about ordination in those days in general, but for a woman in particular, what was that?
Well, they tried their very best
Mm-hmm.
not to ordain me because I was also a candidate for pastor at Gethsemane.
Ah.
They would rather have the man.
Mm.
And so they didn't encourage me to go, but Dewberry again was sick, and he needed somebody there that was ordained to do the work, So they ordained me, but they set me up in a way not to be ordained. But it just so happens that I did pass. They told me the wrong date to be here.
Oh, wow.
In fact, it was here.
At Reader?
Yes.
My Lord.
Yeah, it was and they told me the wrong date, the wrong time. And when I got in touch with Stiegel and called him, he said, well, the only time we can do it is an hour before the actual service. That's when I took the test. Okay. And I said, well, what happens if I don't pass? He said, well, you just don't pass. You won't be able to be ordained. I said, well, I got family coming, so what do you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
You know, they're already prepared to come.
Yeah.
And so, but it just so happens I did pass. And it's very ironic. Everybody else got their certificates. If you had doubt that I wasn't, I should have had the certificate ready. I didn't receive it until a year later. And Wells Caldwell made sure I got it because I kept pestering people about it, and I needed. And one pastor said, well, it's in my car. It's in my car. I said, well, could you get it out your car and put it in my hands? I'd like to have it in my. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
since I passed, I want to see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he had to do it over. Wells Caldwell called Jen Wright, Drummond, and a couple of them. He said, I'll have it signed. You come to my office Monday morning. It'll be in my office. And he did it. He did it. Gilmore helped with that too. Gilmore Tipple Chapel.
His daughter is a member here.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a preacher, Minister Patricia Gilmore. So you're telling me that you got ordained
here
at this church?
At this church.
Wow. Wow.
At this church.
Wow. That is well, I never knew that.
At this church.
This church. That pulpit right there. Yeah, my Lord. That's something. So tell us about getting to Watts Grove.
Watts Grove's pastor passed away. Garris had just preached revival for them the year of. And so they immediately contacted him to see if he had anyone there would be interested in filling in, not pastoring, just filling in and just preaching till they go through the process. So it was me, myself, and one other, Aaron Johnson, and he sent us there to preach, and while the pulpit was empty. And so what happened is, I actually didn't go down there to pastor. Actually, really didn't put in. I just preached. And so they asked me if I would put in for it, and I did, and that was it. Less than a year, I was pastor in Watts Grove.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I want to ask more about UMBA, but I am interested. Could you say a word about your daughter in terms of, did you license? She went with you to?
She didn't go with me immediately.
Okay.
She was at Redemption Christian Ministry on Dunlap.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I've been after Dunlap to, ordain her. She youth pastor. She was the youth pastor there. She was doing all of this. And he said, you want me to ordain her because you want to bring her with you? I said, no, not so. And so it just kept going. So I decided to ordain her. And we did. Wow. But we didn't go through the association.
Okay.
it was two options.
Mm-hmm.
I could be on my own
Mm-hmm.
and bring in pastors to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Reverend Garris told me get an older one,
Mm-hmm.
a woman, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mix it up. And I
Mm-hmm.
got somebody, I
Mm-hmm.
asked somebody from Union County
Mm-hmm.
to help. And then, of course, do you know Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were good friends.
Yeah.
And so I had them to do that. And so once she was ordained, she became my youth pastor. So,
It became a youth pastor. Wow.
yeah,
So Watts Grove was in what association?
Lane Creek.
It was in Lane Creek, as was Antioch
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Yeah.
St. Luke was in there.
St. Luke and Charlotte was
yes,
in Lane Creek.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So once you got there, how long before you brought them into UMBA?
Not long.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You knew that's something you wanted to do.
Once Garris came over, I kind of followed. But anyway,
Okay.
they wanted one thing that they wanted to be taught.
Mm.
Watts Grove wanted to be taught. They wanted Christian education. They
Mhm.
wanted more
Mhm.
to do and learn more. They wanted training.
Mm-hmm.
For a whole year, I trained deacons every Wednesday of the whole year. It was a training session because that's what I did at Antioch.
Wow.
I did it at Antioch, so I did it with them. And that's what they wanted. So I said, well, if we stay with this association, you're not going to get much.
Okay.
So we need to move to UMBA.
Wow.
And wasn't any flack.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple of people, questioning the travel and
Mhm.
going here and going there. But for the bulk of them that
Mhm.
really wanted it,
Mm-hmm.
they was right behind. They came right on.
Yeah. So 2020, you run to become just our third moderator, and everybody who I was talking to was telling me uh, you were to be the next moderator. So I followed suit, and I remember this is pandemic, so I remember being very excited, but some of the pageantry and ways we had done things prior to, we were a little bit stifled because of the pandemic.
Right.
But I remember a lot of excitement. Tell me, what were some of your key priorities and goals during your tenure?
Some of the key priorities were actually to bring everybody together and give everybody an opportunity. If you pay into the association, you need an opportunity to be in leadership. You need an opportunity to preach before the people. You need an opportunity to have people own the leadership role. If you are paying the same thing everybody else paying, such as assessments, and you are there. So my goal was to bring everybody in together, make this a together, working together. I'm all about working together. Is no big church and a little church.
Yeah.
Little church just as important as the larger church, just
Absolutely.
as important as the larger churches.
Absolutely.
So that was one of my goals. The other goals were to get persons out that were not performing to the task. Get persons out that were not attending, not participating, and so bring somebody else in that you could count on, that would be there and responsible to do the job, and to go around. My other thing too was that we would get to see inside other churches.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to see inside the other church. We hear about you, we see, and all that, but I want to get in because it's some things I could pick up from each church, or they could pick up from me, and so that was the other thing. That's why I kind of went around and asked some of the pastors to host, so we could see and get familiar with how they do things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was one of my goals. The other goal was to really stress Christian education, because our people, and I don't mind saying, we need to learn, and we need to do, and so once you learn, you can do.
Yeah, I love it. You said people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was the most significant challenge you think you faced, and how did you navigate that? Again,
Well,
with the context, you did come in 2020, but over those 4 years, what do you think was your biggest
over
challenge?
those 4 years, first of all, we had to find a way to use technology for
Mm,
our benefit,
mm,
and to get on Zoom calls
mm-hmm,
and be able to do. I think the first one we did, I think we did it here
mm-hmm.
with Craig Moss, the Martin Luther King, and I
W-
think yeah, that was the first one. I think we did it here virtually.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did some at Briar Creek, the Creek Church.
Yep.
We
Mm-hmm,
did some there, and so that was. But the guys and all the leaders that I had working with,
mm-hmm,
all of them inputted, all of them
mm-hmm.
inputted. So it didn't make it that hard. But you had some people that was afraid of technology,
Yeah.
afraid of Zoom. And you get on Zoom and they won't turn the mic off if they're
Yeah.
not talking. You got all that to go through. So it took a little time
Yeah.
to get that done. But as we migrated and that went away, sort of,
Mm-hmm,
you still had people that didn't want to come out. You know,
mm-hmm.
and we had such as Whitley, somebody who was going through illness and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We had all that to contend with. Everybody had something going on,
Mm-hmm,
and to try to put that piece, that puzzle together,
mm-hmm,
and still benefit from what we
mm-hmm,
were doing.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it was a little challenge. It was a little challenge, but we made it. That's the
Yeah.
thing. We made it. We made it. We made it.
What
So
are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the association making it through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm,
Still giving.
mm-hmm,
We didn't slack on that.
mm-hmm,
I'm most proud of our newer pastors being able to come in and connect those pastors or those churches who refuse to come.
mm-hmm,
I'm not gonna say I got them in. Okay,
mm-hmm,
whatever I
mm-hmm,
said or however I
mm-hmm.
worked it, they came in, and so all of them that were slacking
Mm-hmm.
and didn't come in, they're in now. They're in now.
Would you say that's your biggest accomplishment?
Uh, Probably bringing in those churches and then bringing in some newer churches like the
Mhm.
Creek Church.
Yeah.
New Hope was out.
Mm-hmm.
They came back.
Mm-hmm.
St. Philip's,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of them. And some of those who were not working,
Mm-hmm.
they're back in. They're
Yeah.
back in. So
Yeah.
I'm just elated. That was the aim,
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
everybody in,
Yeah.
and to hear their voice, see them, and see their people. That was the
Mm-hmm.
other thing.
Yep. So what would you say? Do you feel like um serving as moderator, did it change your leadership, you think? Um, how do you feel you were shaped by being moderator?
Um, Being able to work with the difference,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all the differences,
Mm-hmm.
and all the people who had another view of
Mm-hmm.
UMBA.
Mm-hmm.
One of their views was that we would tell them what to do and how to run their church,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not so. I
Yeah.
say we would suggest,
Yeah.
uh, and you can take that suggestion or you can model it your
Yeah.
way. We're not telling you you have to do this, this, and that. The only thing we are asking that you pay your assessment and
Mm-hmm.
participate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other than
Yeah.
that,
I hear that now. And I was surprised to hear that because, at the close of the day, we're a Baptist organization. You don't have to do anything, but there are churches who are seemingly concerned that they'll be dictated to by the association.
right?
And that's not it at all. And that, you dealt with it. I was surprised to run into that because we're Baptists.
Yeah.
So I gave one of the things I've wanted to do is to, you know, give churches early, like here's our calendar for next year, just for you to take into consideration. And I noticed that in the case of some that got interpreted as he's telling us when we can and cannot have our functions. And like, no, that's not the case at all. So I was surprised to bump into that, but you're telling me that's not a new phenomenon.
No, no. That's the way they think, and
Yeah.
they want to know what's beneficial for us to be in
Yeah.
the association.
Yes.
It's a lot of benefits
Yeah.
because when we challenge our monies together and it goes up, it's the
Mhm.
associate. Your name is there.
Mhm.
Your name is
Mhm.
there. Where your church may not be able to give but
Mhm.
500, when they send $2,000 or $3,000 or
Mhm.
$4,000, $5,000, your name is
It's
in
the
there.
UMBA.
Yeah, and if you want grant help,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to belong to association.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have to
Mhm.
belong to association if you
Mhm.
want grant help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's beneficial
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you can choose. Say, for instance, you're looking for somebody to teach, or you're looking for somebody to come to your church
Mhm.
and teach a leadership,
Mhm.
Christian education, or something like that. You got a format here. You got people already trained to do that.
Yeah.
So you got that. Associate ministers, they got that. And I guess my other thing that I'm most proud of is that we were able to furnish all those churches who had empty pulpits
Mhm.
somebody who was credible,
Mhm.
somebody who was able to
Mhm.
preach.
Mhm.
I didn't have to worry about if they go there and they're gonna flunk.
Mhm.
No, they preach.
Mhm.
And because of that, several of them have become pastors
Yeah.
at some of those churches.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the ones that are open will have an opportunity to place one of ours there.
Yeah.
It would make it easy for us if somebody's already there that know the work of UMBA.
Yeah.
And they're in place. Not that I'm
Yeah.
tell them, but
Yeah.
I hint,
Yeah.
I hint,
Yeah.
I hint.
Well, I
Often.
appreciate I appreciate you for naming that, because
Hmm.
for me, if I was asked, what do you feel like Dr. Erwin's greatest contribution was? Um, I would say that the way that your work in really identifying um, associate ministers in churches and networking them and knowing them, and then being able to in turn provide opportunities for them. I probably have here maybe, you know, 8, 9 associate ministers, most of whom have seminary training and education, and, are solid. I mean, but, you know, I'm only going to be able to utilize but so many backup quarterbacks
Right,
on a
right,
Sunday morning.
right.
And, we have 60 some churches in our association. And on any given Sunday, there are churches, plural, that could use some assistance with pulpit supply. So connected that, um, how you connected that within our association was truly remarkable, and I think is a lasting legacy of yours. And where I think, and I don't know if you were doing this on purpose, but this whole idea of, churches actually calling um, local pastors to be their pastor, I think is prophetic. And I say that because these are preachers who have been tried, vetted, they have mentors. But I would also say my concern, Dr. Erwin, is that it's harder and harder for churches fiscally to be able to call a preacher from some other place, move
Right,
them
right.
to these places, and pay them a livable wage.
Yes.
What that was 10 years ago is no longer the case. And so we better be able to do like the Bible says, look out there among yourself,
Yeah.
find
Yes.
some
Yes.
wisdom,
Yes.
full of the Holy Spirit, and see what kind of talent you can drop there. And I feel like those churches who have done that have been served well, and they're proud.
Absolutely.
And the part that makes, I think, is a testament to your leadership is you don't have to ask those pastors to support the association.
No.
Or let me say, you don't have to convince
Right.
them,
You don't have to convince them.
because
They're in.
they will attribute part of their success and being there to the work of the association. So that's a part of your legacy that I am excited about building on, because you know I just think it will be the trend, not just in Charlotte, but around. I mean,
Around.
you're involved in our state convention, and our state convention is platforming more of the newer and younger preachers, and hoping that more North Carolina churches will call some of these preachers that are, you know, right here,
Yeah.
right here. So that is that's an incredible part of your legacy that I'm so um, proud to take on, and hope to continue. That being said, let me ask you, um, what, because I realize I'm only a few months in, and I realize there's not enough time to do nearly all I see that probably could and should be done.
Right.
You just got to pick your spots. 4 years, you pastor church, you're doing other things. It takes time. So I feel like you advanced some work that maybe the moderators before you started, you were able to take that on and go for it. What is it that maybe you didn't do that you would like to see, myself or even the one after me? What is it that you would like to see the association do that maybe you wanted to get to it, but you just weren't able to?
One thing, top of the list is take that Constitution and the bylaws
Mm-hmm.
and go fine tune
Mm-hmm.
everything where there's no question. There'll always be a question, but
Mm-hmm.
primarily it won't be as many.
Mm-hmm.
And fine tune it, because you see, when Dr. Weary went in, that was the first of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you wasn't able to kind of do everything or
Mhm.
say everything,
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to get it done. You're trying to get it in. You're trying to get on the map.
Yeah.
And so then Garris was short-lived due to illness, and that was one of the things I wanted to do. But with the pandemic and all of that, what I wanted to do was bring a leader from each one of the ministries,
Mm-hmm.
and then primarily dig into it,
Mm-hmm.
from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
How we meet the purpose of it,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah, all of that, the giving
Mm-hmm.
of it, all of that, payouts,
Mm-hmm.
who we are paying and
Mm-hmm.
who we're giving to, and all of that. And I would love to have done that.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
would have taken time, but
Yeah.
and maybe it was a start, and then the
Mm-hmm.
next one come up and finish it,
Mm-hmm.
go add to it. So
Mm-hmm.
so primarily it's just concrete.
Okay.
You need something that's concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of loopholes in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A
That
lot.
makes sense. That
Mhm.
makes
So
sense.
that's one of the things I wanted to do. And the other thing, if we going by a constitution, let's go by it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't pick and choose what we're going to do and what we're not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, one of the things was in that constitution, it says pastors should be the ordination council.
Okay.
Should be the ordination council.
Mm-hmm.
Because how can somebody that has not pastored, and these people that are coming in that being ordained, they are shooting to be pastors, most
Mm-hmm.
of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher and all of that, they can give to them what they really need, has to be another pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the one thing, but I got some flack.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just,
Mm-hmm.
not that I wasn't gonna come back. If I had gotten back in, I was coming back at it. I was coming back at it.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lay down. I'm not gonna lay down and die now. I bring it up. That's
Yeah.
for it to go in your ear and know I'm coming back at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Because some of us I would say about Betty J. Erwin is that she ain't never scared.
No.
And I was wondering, have you always been that way?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've even gotten stronger through pastoring.
Got
Because
you.
you got people. And if you don't do it just right, I'm scared of you, but I'm not scared of you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be frank with all of them on the same level.
Yeah.
And I had hopes that I did that with the UMBA.
You did. Now, look, I don't think anybody should accuse you of treating pastors differently. You seem to have been a straight shooter regardless.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I even had, I don't know if you're going to do this, but I even had a list, email list that was just for pastors. Some of the rest of them I didn't include. Some things point blank go to pastors.
Yeah.
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 And so,
Yeah, I agree. I think I say in another one of these conversations when they were sitting down talking to me, I say like, I want to work with the pastors. I think as the pastor goes, so goes the church. Myself as moderator associate, we're not trying to bypass a pastor to reach into anybody's church. We're trying to work with the pastor,
right. Right.
and then that's the inroad into the church. So if we don't have the pastors, we don't have anything.
That's what I tell them. The pastors are responsible for the assessment and all that.
Yeah.
We can't go to you and say pay the assessments. The pastor has to open that door.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of emails that went straight to the pastor.
Yeah. 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 That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And I think it's hard to overstate what a trailblazer you've been as a woman pastor, not just in Mecklenburg County, but in our state, and how you're broadly recognized. But let me ask you this: what do you hope your legacy will be? What do you want people to remember about you as moderator?
Hopefully everybody remembers me as someone who cared about them, where they were and where they are going, the impact that I helped them to get further. And I guess I'm mainly talking about women per se. Well, some of the younger preachers too. Some of the younger preachers that came across. So my thing to them was get you somebody older to mentor you. Yeah. You're not the one on your level, the one on your age group, the one that may have pastored the same amount of years you have, won't be able to help you to the extent that you need help. Some of the things that I know things change, generations and all of that, but some of the things do not change. That's how you approach the pulpit, how you approach a pastor, how you talk with them in general, and all of that. And I think one of the things mainly with the women, I wanted them to see me, my posture, my act, way I deal with other pastors in the church. You just don't go in a church and just think you're supposed to do something because you're there. Sit. Somebody will notice you. I guarantee you. You sit. Watch your posture. Watch what you wear. Lap cloths. All right. But if you jumping up and down every minute, you got to come back and place it, and the next minute you back up. It doesn't look good. It doesn't set a good example. Oh, forgot about that. But some things you need to watch. You just watch. I watched Dr. Kirkpatrick a lot. You had those persons, but for as being a mentor for me, my mentors were actually males.
Really? Wow. Wow.
Females didn't have a church,
Yeah.
per se. So if a male is mentoring me, he's going to give me an opportunity to read a scripture, say a prayer, and you take it from there. But stay on course. Stay on course. Don't get off course. I'm hoping when they watch me in the appearance and in the actions, they glean from that. And then when they move forward, then somebody will, recognize. I'm going, you watch somebody and you mimic somebody, but then you gotta have your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have your own. Some associates, they will pick up off their pastor, and I watched some of them. In fact, I watched Dr. Scott and a couple of his associates. you know how he does and all that.
Mhm.
They do the same thing. But somewhere down the line,
Yeah.
and you're going to have your own. You have to have your own that's unique to
Yep.
you.
Yep.
So that's what I want women to do. Have your own, have what's unique to you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to preach like a man. You don't have no hoop holler hack. Leave it alone and just stand firm and preach the word. That's what they
Yeah.
come for, the word.
Yeah. And one thing I think that warms my heart as I sit here, and I don't know if you think about it like this, but because of you, the next woman pastor coming into our association um, won't be able to say what you said as far as I took on this mentor because there were no women pastors. And when you talk about a trailblazer, the next woman pastor who comes into our association, and we're very excited about,
I'm excited.
she won't be able to say that.
No, go.
She'll be able to say that there was another, and we just going from glory to glory. So I guess I would ask you in closing. Um, First of all, let me thank you for coming in today because fitting us into your schedule on the heels of this past weekend for you was a lot. So thank you for pressing your way. Thank you for your faithfulness when it comes to what you modeled. You really raised the bar when it comes to showing up. You really raise the bar. Nobody will. You're batting 100, so nobody can top it. I don't know if anybody will match it when it comes to that. So we're grateful for what you've modeled. But before we let you go, any just what are your words of wisdom? Because the people I'm hoping that are watching this is a lot of people, but particularly our UMBA constituency, our pastors, our leaders, other moderators that perhaps look to Charlotte and like to keep up with what's going on. So I would just ask you to take a minute or two just to pour and share with us, share with me, but share with us words of wisdom as we go forward as an association.
Well, I think I started something and it wasn't intentionally per se. I'm just type of person. If I'm doing something, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in, and I'm gonna be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
My words of wisdom would be, they're looking for you. Don't let them look too hard for you.
Mm.
That does not say you got to be there every minute, every second, every hour of the day, but somewhere in there, join the different meetings, go to the different programs, and all of that. It was very hard for me, and I did not know all the work that was involved until uh, Pastor Gary stepped away.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work out there,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to know that you care. That's the main thing. They want to know that you care, that they're not out there and they have you on every program, and then half of the programs you're not there. They're going to let you know the programs, the outline, because most of them, it's the same thing. It's the same thing every year. So it's only one thing that I miss, and that was the Thanksgiving program for the women. But Ferguson filled in those years because I was away from my church, and that holiday I wanted to sit down with my church. So, words of wisdom, you have to find time, pick your time for your family, that your family is not on the back burner, because then they will begin to hate UMBA. So you got to make sure you do those things. And also, even if you have to send a letter or send a voice, technology is so you don't even have to be there. You can send a message. Yeah, you can send your voice. I wasn't that technology savvy, and actually, I didn't think about it. I just think I need to be there. But I did try to get them to put me at the top of the program sometimes. And so you say your greetings, and when you have to leave,
Yeah,
gone, but
yeah,
you've been there.
yeah.
You've been there. They're looking for that. So my words of wisdom, you just can't have a meeting and give out instructions, but they don't see you when they're planning their programs and all of that. Some of that is big with them. And I think that was a big key for them because I was there with them. And a lot of things that even the young adults did that was new, like the kickball and all of that, that I wasn't there because that was my appreciation. But I made sure I was at their meeting, their planning meetings. So you got a way, you just got to figure it out. But you would be in the city, and we have several churches that are out of the city, but I was out of the city. I was in Monroe.
Right.
So I had to leave my church, sometimes not eating properly to get to their function.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say you have to work that thing. Me, being me, I'm just me. And I figured they put me on the program. I need to be there. I need to be there. So that was me. But you have to work that words of wisdom. Just work it. So you're not missing all of them.
Okay.
But you're there for them, caring. Show some love. It gives them joy when they see your face.
Yeah.
When they see your face.
Yeah.
So
where do you want to see UMBA go?
I want to go see UMBA go to the top, go to the very top and grow. I mean, start pulling in even churches that are not in our city, churches that are not involved in association. They're out there. They're out there. They're out there. And try to, not that bigger means better, but you have a lot more choices, and you can put a lot more people to work. And so wherein and build up the men's ministry, that's the other thing. It was built up to a point. Then I think during the pandemic, some of the men could not get on unless their wives helped them on. So you got to deal with
Lord help the church.
Yeah, Lord help us. But anyway, those are just some of the little ticks and stuff. And then to beware of somebody getting sick, something happens within their family, and then it's a leader. So replacing that, I had to replace a few, and so you got to look out among them again and find somebody who has been dedicated and been around and don't mind serving, because you got some that do not want to serve. They just want to do the work. They just want to do the work, but I don't want to be the leader. And so, and also, you got to be aware of the choices you make for leadership. Some people are in leadership for a name or position. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. I'm in there for work. And you got some won't show up until their ministry is doing something, but they won't support the others. So that's one thing. The other thing. So, but that's just words to you being young, having a young family. You have to make sure that they're not being overlooked to do this work, because this is work.
Yeah.
This is work. I'm gonna say it one time for the Holy Ghost. This is work. It is. It is.
Yeah. Somebody asked me earlier about something about my vision, my plans for the association. And, I was forthright in saying there are the plans you have for what you kind of think the association is from the outside looking in. And then there are your plans to get modified when you see what it really is. No different than the church. You can go to a church thinking, I'm going to do this. Then you get there and see what's going on. Okay. It modifies, your vision, and you have to roll with the punches. Not that you can't do anything, but some things take time, and some things take precedent over others, and you figure it out.
Just keep building.
Yeah.
Just keep building on what's already been built, already been established from Dr. Weary, Reverend Garris. Just keep building. Keep building.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Erwin, for your time. Thank you so much for those who are watching and sharing with us. for this installment of UMBA Conversations. We've had a chance now to hear from all of our former moderators. So we're so grateful and thankful that those who have served did not just run off and leave us, but they have made themselves available to share the story, to provide wisdom and perspective. And we are much better, and our experience has been much enriched as a result. And we're excited as we go forward from here. We look forward to hearing from more of our current leaders and auxiliary leaders and vice moderators and getting their perspective on the association as we continue the work of uniting churches and transforming communities. But thank you again for joining us.
Thank you
for this time. Yep.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring enough about the association to want to hear where we come from.
Grateful. Thank you again. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. Thank you.